My name is Mosi Thao. I have my master's in counseling and psychology, and I am a mental health therapist here. And my pronouns are he, his, him.
My name is Cheng Va Vue, and my pronouns is he, his, him. And my occupation is I am an IT service desk professional. And then I'm also a council member here at Hmong 18 Council.
Vanguard Mental Health and Wellness Clinic is part of the vision of working towards improving mental health in the Hmong community. 20-some years ago, Dr. Lissa Vang was working in the mental health field, and in the last 4 years, she had this vision of giving back to the Hmong community in a way to improve and work on mental health. So in the last 4 years, she took what she was doing as an individual and grew it into a clinic. Right now, we currently have 5 Hmong clinicians, as well as a Hmong administration staff. So we are, if not the only, one of the very few mental health clinics in America here where we have a whole staff of just Hmong clinicians. And so we are very bicultural. We are very culturally competent, and we make that an important point in terms of working with a client and population where when we sit across someone, we look like them, we talk like them, we understand them. And whether it's specifically just to Hmong people or not, that cultural competency and understanding is something we really value at Vanguard here, and we want it known so that when we're seeing or we're talking with someone with mental health, that we have an understanding and that they know we have that understanding of that bicultural competency.
The Hmong 18 Council is actually an organization that is founded by our late General Vang Pao, who want to organize all the 18 clans together before he passes so that the Hmong community can unite and work alongside each other. And it also came about because of a Hmong woman who 20 years ago took the life of her 6 children. It came as a shocking news to the community, so they wanted to find ways to prevent future tragedy like that from happening. So then that's how the organization was born.
Yeah, a very, very important question, especially when we look at it from a Hmong lens. A very traditional explanation of mental health would be our emotional, psychological, and social well-being, right? The way we think, the way we feel, and the way we happen to take on life. So when we talk about mental health, there's a positive and a negative to that. It can be positive and it can be negative. And for me, the easiest way for me to explain mental health, or the way I like to do it, is to say it's us trying to be the best version of us, right? Being the best version of you. And when we achieve that and when we work towards that, I think we have good mental health.
In the past, many Hmong folks who migrated to the U.S.
The immigration story, starting from Vietnam War, right? The last big conflict for a lot of Hmong people, and the one that historical trauma plays a role in. And the purpose of the historical trauma and the why we must talk about it is whenever there's trauma in terms of pain and the painful experience we have with incident or experience like that, it impacts our mental health.
They're homesick, they miss their country, they miss their loved one, And some of them went through war times and they have tragic memories.
A lot of the Hmong people, the focus is on basic needs. All that matters is there's food on the table, money to pay the bills, clothes on our back, and that's good enough.
Back then, those are the norms of mental health for our older generation, where they cannot get over that lingering experience that they've gone through coming to America. And then being in a country where it's foreign to them, they don't speak the language, and they face many challenges. So that is like a mental health concern to them.
We look at ourselves now, the Hmong community now, and we're 40 years here in America. There's some privilege to that now. We have a less focus on that basic needs. We can slowly detach away from the fear of being refugees in a new country. We don't look as different anymore. We don't speak a different language anymore. And a lot of times, we don't eat different food.
Nowadays, with our younger generation, mental health took on a whole new perspective where our parents may not always be there for us. They're always working late or actively participating in the community. Whatever reason that they're gone, children doesn't get that experience, the love that they desire, the caring and support. So then it's like a whole new experience for the children.
Over time, as we've settled into America here, mental health has evolved, right? We have a generation who sometimes still have those traumatized experiences. And we have a new, younger generation who's growing, who has the privilege to say, I can work really hard to be that best version of me and not have to worry about all those things my parents worried about. It's not perfect, but there's growth and there's a change in direction for focus on that privilege of looking at mental health in a more individualized way instead of that collective family way where we only talk about family first. And now we can have the privilege of talking about me first, and my mental health and how I look and feel, and how, for me, how do I get to that best version of me?
I wanted to develop a program that can help foster family development where family can have better communications, parents can understand their children better, and children can understand their parents better and have a total unity. When I proposed this idea to the Hmong 18 Council, I was saying that we go through life with many challenges, whether if it's work, school, social life, and if we're not feeling love at home, and we're neglecting that, it becomes a big void. I haven't experienced it from my own family growing up as a child, because they're always busy and they're helping out other communities as well. So I felt like my parents is always helping other people, which is not a bad idea. But then we feel like we're neglected. We feel like we're left out. We're always second on their list. Somebody else comes first. So then we feel like, well, what's the point of being in this family if I'm not important? When I became a parent myself and volunteering my time to the community, my children are saying that to me too. So then I started to realize, wow, this is really important. It makes a new dawning on me that we need to build a new structure, a new way of integrating our family structure so that when we go to work or when we go to school, we feel that we're always full of love. So then we can pursue anything without a doubt.
Traditionally, when we talk about mental health, it's someone is crazy. Cheng Va Vue. In the Hmong culture, a lot of times, when something is wrong with someone, what we would do is take them to uncle. Take them to uncle or a clan leader, and would take them and say, my son is not operating or doing or being his most optimal version. Can you yell at him, or can you do something? Just reach out to him. And that's very clinically Hmong. And in Yoshia, they have a lot of depression, and they're crazy because that depression drove them mad. So we get this negative stigma that mental health is always negative. And so who wants to ever deal with the negative? A lot of the times, we practice avoidance. We internalize. We have a fear of things we traditionally probably shouldn't be fearful of. Seeking mental health sometimes is to say, hi, I have a problem. And in that Hmong cultural lens, to say, hi, I have a problem, I'm seeing a therapist. Oh, you're crazy. But that's not the truth. That's the stigma behind how a lot of times in the Hmong community, we have looked at mental health.
We don't have a strong education in terms of confidentiality. So if I wanted to stress my problems with an elder, by the time I get to the elder and share my problems, then as soon as I leave the house, the news gets spread. And before I know, my neighbors start questioning, what happened to you? So then I think, well, how did you hear about it? Where did it come from? So then it becomes an issue of confidentiality. And I wanted to bring this to the Hmong community that we need training on confidentiality. No one needs to know who's going through what. So then that way we can feel secure in sharing our personal problem with a trusted advisor. It's like the medical practices. The hospital staff can be in serious crime or serious trouble for spreading confidential information that they're not supposed to. And that should apply to our Hmong community. And we want to feel trusted so that whoever we talk to, only whoever's in the room have access to those information. And then through that, then our Hmong community can feel like I trust my healthcare practitioner, that if I go share about my mental health concern, that my concerns will be kept confidential between me and my provider, and that no one needs to know what I'm going through except for me. We had a training with Project Chandu last fall, and the training was to help our community come to an understanding that even if you're not a licensed professional, if you have a family member who come and say, I feel suicidal, I feel like I want to take my own life. Well, instead of shutting them down and saying, oh, it's no big deal. What you're going through is normal, it's common. It's like we're pushing them away, because as soon as we say things like that, in their mind, he's not listening to me. He's not listening to what I have to say, or she's not listening to me. They don't understand my problems. If I can't trust this brother or this sister to even open my heart, who else could I trust?
In this new generation, a lot of the times our generation and younger, I don't want to go to uncle and tell him all of my challenges, because that's just breaking all my boundaries of the things I need to share. Mental health therapists are a very good place for that. But again, there's this stigma to see a therapist, you must be crazy. So there's a lot of that emotional shutdown, that avoidance, that idea of, if I just wake up and keep doing me, it might just get better. But the biggest challenge sometimes is that when we take a loss in life, we take another loss in life, we're like, we're okay, we can do this. That third and fourth loss is like, oh man, it's getting thinner and thinner from my ability to be able to handle this, right? And when we finally get that really big loss in our life and we're taking L's after L's and after L's, that's when sometimes we see people come in. And sometimes that's like a year too late, 2 years too late, right? And that work is a lot harder to do. So when we talk about what prevents Hmong people from seeking mental health, psychoeducation, we think this idea that mental health is all about crazy, right? The idea that sometimes we feel that there's not enough mental health therapists who are Hmong to help me, right? Or we might go one time to therapy and it didn't work. A lot of the times the way Hmong people are, the way we've grown up or the way we were raised, we need instant gratification, right? Right now. And if therapy takes 8 or 10 sessions for me to reflect, to process, and to finally get me to the point where I had the aha moment, that's a very long time without having that instant gratification. So there are definitely some things that prevent us, but it begins with us changing this mindset that mental health is absolutely just about crazy people. Mental health is a state of me trying to be that best version of me, and a therapist or seeking therapy is truly someone with an outside lens helping you get there.
Whether if it's in the past or now or the future, mental health is going to be with us for a while. It's not something that is going to go away on its own quickly, but there is a way to overcome it quickly if we understand what's happening around us.
And it's hard because we have to be careful not to pass down some of that trauma, right, from one generation to another. For example, as a Hmong man, I know myself. My father didn't have a lot of conversations with me about feelings, emotions. And then sometimes for me to do it to my children, it's forward.
And what I think is that we need to have more workshops, more educational seminars that we can help people understand when you're going through a mental health crisis, what is the chemistry happening inside our minds and our body? It's an imbalance. But beside that, on the spiritual foundation, what else is happening on the spiritual foundation?
So we need to have more and more conversations about mental health, more and more conversations about how do we get our grandmas to live their best life at their age? How do we get our parents to live their best life at any age, as well as helping our children to live and become their best self as they grow up? And so it's a very important conversation when we talk about mental health in the Hmong community and what we can do and what we can talk about. It truly is this: starting to have culture reflect the needs of our mental health, whether it is in social media, whether it is in music and artistry, whether it is in students who want to reach out and be like, there's a need here for us to do more. It's getting our culture to reflect that mental health is something we need to focus on, and mental health is something or somewhere we need to grow that conversation. So it's a lot of the time simply, let's talk about mental health, right? Let's not run from it, because culturally we always sometimes think of mental health as mental illness. And that's really two different things. For me to feel a depressed and sad mood, and for someone to be clinically depressed. So we must break down those barriers and thinking that mental health is always a mental illness. Two very different things.
When we understand those, we can better handle our situation. And when we see people say negative things to us, or when we see people treat us unfair, we can overcome those little things and turn something negative into a positive experience. So if we can all learn to do that, then every bad seed can turn to a good plant if we can do that. So it takes training, it takes a lot of experience, and it takes a good advisor, a good teacher, a good trainer to walk us through the process. And we can all overcome those challenges as a community collectively. We'll be in a better place. I truly believe in that.